Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair agaleni hau chunishumme washbale. Ohio Gonzaimas guten Morgen. Hola boyo privyat kaifa hal. Hale shuma chatore ahlan wa sahlan marhaba. Buna mucho gracias swabia bhalli karya. Hoş geldin anayo saya khuyamora chi batto chi hal jo kali mera khairutan. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and Watching World this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really lucky that I've been joined by my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajra Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Hajra, assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum
Eidi kharch kar liya aapne sari?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much. I don't know why your conversation always starts from money. Eidi mili hai, Eidi kharch ki hai, falana damkana. But that was just on a lighter tone. But now we will move on to another interesting discussion. That is that Chinese scientists have developed a wearable, lightweight brain machine. I don't know, it's scary or it's interesting. Yeah. The Chinese researchers have developed the world's first battery-powered, wearable, repetitive, transcranial magnetic stimulation device used for treating neuropsychiatric disorders. RTMS is a proven therapy for neuropsychiatric disorders like depression, stroke rehabilitation, and addiction. Traditional devices usually require fixed clinical setups, weigh over 50 kilograms, and consume massive power, limiting accessibility for the patients.
My God.
And I think in the days to come, we might see other solutions coming up for this depression and mental illnesses.
Exactly, and I think it's great as well, that such medical interventions are actually taking place because still we do not have a comprehensive testing system for brains. So I think for people to kind of work in that direction is wonderfully well. But now imagine, I think this is a news which everybody kind of really need to see what's actually happening in the world. Police in the island of Marajo in Brazil employ a unique policing method to keep up with criminals trying to escape in rivers and swamps. The Buffalo Soldiers are a unit of military police who patrol the islands, streets and fields, not on horseback or vehicles, but on Asian water buffaloes equipped with specially adapted seats. My God, they'll be too slow. The practice began out of necessity 3 decades ago when the flooded fields of Marajo made conventional patrolling methods impractical. Well, why not horses?
Right. I think Brazil has a lot of Spanish influence there, and Spain is really known for this bullfighting.
So now it will be buffaloes for the courses, not horses for courses.
Yeah, so they're fond of buffaloes. Shahzad, so we will segue into a very interesting conversation. There's a film coming, and since it's post-Eid, discussions that are going on, we're going to the normalcy. And I'm a big cinema goer. I love going to cinema because there's entire ambience, and also it's an outing form. So there's a very interesting film that is on the horizon. It's called The Martial Artist, and we are seeing a very interesting names in that film. And that film takes us to, the agility and the physicality and how the protagonist, he's fighting there, he's doing the martial artist, and then it transitions into a very serene atmosphere of Pakistan in the northern areas, and how this entire journey of the protagonist unfolds. In order to discuss this, interesting conversation regarding the film Martial Artist, we are very glad that we have been once again joined by a very, very big name of the Hollywood. He has made immensely proud because we share the same soil with him, being a Pakistani, creating a name for yourself in an industry which is far more sophisticated, and I don't think so that, it's a very easy job going there and creating your indelible mark there. We're very glad we have been joined by Faran Tahir. Assalamu alaikum Farhan, and happy belated Eid Mubarak to you.
Walaikum assalam, and happy belated Eid Mubarak to you also. I hope you guys are doing well.
Alhamdulillah, congratulations on your film, The Martial Artist, and you have another film, Witness, which is doing also wonderfully well. It's a very interesting subjects that you are bringing, interesting plot lines. Please relate to us first about The Martial Artist and then about The Witness too.
Definitely. So The Martial Artist, which opened on Eid in Pakistan and also on April 4th, opens in North America, Canada, US, also in South America and parts of Europe, and also in UK. It's a really interesting film. We started working on this literally 7 years ago. Shahzad, who wrote it, directed it, and was also acting in it, came to me with this idea. And the minute I heard the idea, I thought it was something that I wanted to be a part of for many reasons. For one reason, because it's a very different kind of an idea and shows Pakistani people in a different light. I think it's important that we tell stories which brings in all different facets of our life. So it does that. It also brings in a really beautiful combination of our lives in the US and also our lives in Pakistan. So you see both those sides, and then you see the landscapes of both of these places. And I think that's really important, especially for Pakistan, for us to show the more serene, the more beautiful, the more untouched parts of Pakistan, which is so beautiful. So it has all of that. But the story in itself is about a young martial artist played by Shahzad Khan, who has all the abilities and all the techniques and everything to be one of the best in the world. But what he doesn't have is a spiritual grounding, and he's spiraling because of that.
Exactly, which is why Farhan bhai, that's exactly what I would want to kind of explore because, as soon as the camera comes on to you, you're in a very different role from the roles that you've already been doing. It most looks like that, that spiritual grounding is something that will be delivered by you. That mentorship will be delivered by you for that MMA martial artist as well. So for you to kind of juggle in between roles as well, how was it for you to kind of, justify your role in that space?
Well, it was really interesting because I think it was a great challenge for me. I mean, it's playing somebody who's older than I am, and to explore the range of my own age bracket is something that I think is a delicious challenge as an actor. You can play 15 years younger than you, and then you can play 15, 20 years older than you, and see if you can convincingly play it. Having said that, I think the role in itself is very dear to me because he is the character that I play is he is an older martial artist who actually has this boy who is his grandchild come. But what he realizes is that the boy has all the abilities, how to bring him to the threshold of his own spirituality, and how to ground him and root him in this spirituality so that he finds the balance. And I thought that was a great challenge to show, and the serenity of the backdrop and also the way the story moves. I think it's way beyond just a martial arts film, and I thought that was a really beautiful message to send out into the world.
Right, and that's beautiful because you talked about that, how it's not just about physical sports or physical agility, it also moves towards the spiritual healing and the setting of those mountains. I think mountains do have that effect on your body, on your growth, and connecting with the spiritual environment. And I think one of the things that stands out in the trailer is that the sports film could have easily gone into very purely, sports film, but it has a very emotional touch, a very humanized touch into it, right? So Farhan, how was your experiencing shooting this film? And I think pretty sure you have interacted with the northern areas of Pakistan, such a beautiful areas. Please recount us your experience.
So my experience is beautiful. I mean, we shot all the Pakistan scenes up in Naran and Karan, and as you know, that's beautiful country. So we were really happy to show that part of Pakistan. It was a difficult shoot because there were times when, given the resources and given what we were trying to achieve, sometimes it was really hard. There were a couple of scenes where we couldn't even take vehicles up to those mountains to shoot. And we had the entire crew and the cast walk up these mountains for about 2 hours to get some of those scenes. So it was challenging, but really rewarding for us. And I'm hoping that the audiences, and which actually audiences are kind of reacting to that. So it was not in vain.
Exactly. And one more thing, and that is that, so since when we were growing up, if we are to kind of reflect upon our time, how, such films were made, where there was a martial artist or a boxer, the first movie that I would recall is probably Rocky or, or such sort of films where they're training hard, going up the stairs, so over here when the boys are running uphill, it actually gives me that feel and that adrenaline rush as well. So is there an amalgamation or, did your team actually sat down and was like, hey, you know what, so such films have always been out there. We really need to have a new connotation to it.
Yes, I mean, as you said, I think there's a bit of an ode to those films also in there, because I think we do follow that particular kind of a storyline. But it is also important that we show all the different achievements and all the different ways Pakistan and Pakistanis are trying to be part of this global movement of showing different layers of who we are. And I think for that was really important. The other thing that I really liked about the film is that it's not just a martial arts film. It's also about family unity. It's about getting to know your roots. It's also about how to function with a support system that is very important when you're trying to achieve something that is a little different and a little unique.
Right, and Farhan, we've seen, so I would want to steer the conversation towards another very interesting film of yours, and that is The Witness. And it was released last year. The entire storyline is very enticing, right? This is a story of an imam and its journey going through. Do you feel that it has been successful in, tackling the very stereotype representation of South Asian community, and in particular the Muslim community, because imams are shown in a particular light and very dominant discourses in storytelling?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's very important that we do bring up these issues as life goes on, because newer issues are we will be facing newer issues. And it is important that we bring these issues into light. And whatever the answer might be and however the audience might take it, it is important that we bring it in a way and offer it in a way that it doesn't become combative. And I think it was important to show an imam who is struggling between how satisfy
Yeah,
his
I think,
congregation and what
yeah.
their Islam thinks is important.
Exactly. I think we missed out on the last bit as well, because we do know for a fact that you're in Karachi and the internet actually slows down in Pakistan. So can you please repeat what you just said? Oh, sorry.
Welcome to reality, right? No, all I was saying was that I think a film like Witness is very important these days, because as life goes on and as we tackle different issues, it is important for us to look at these issues in every light. And sometimes these issues can become combative. What we have tried to do is bring a story which actually deals with it without giving it a, a right or a wrong answer, but actually bring this question to the audience and they can answer it for themselves. Sometimes you're right, imams are shown in a very dominant, very conservative, very in that kind of a light. But I thought it was important to show that that is not the only way people have dealt with these issues, and it's important to bring those characters and those stories to light. And I think that the movie achieves that.
Exactly. And in addition to this, because we are even sharing visuals from the martial artists as well, we're talking about The Witness. And since you have spoken about it, that how subjects actually vary, and it truly depends on how you actually depict a picture. Now imagine that for Hollywood, they have a very different formula, so it's going to be a 1.5 hour or a 2 hour film, no songs, no music, no nothing at all, some action pack, some romance, or whatever it takes. You move on to our region, the heroines really need to be larger than life, the hero needs to be larger than life. But within the martial artist trailer, there was one thing which was shocking for me, that I was unable to see the heroine. So there was no heroine, koi music ki wali baat nahi ho rahi. So is it just, rugged MMA fight movie?
No, I mean it does have a very touching, soft side to it, and there are very dominant female characters. Yes, it doesn't follow that format of songs and dancing around trees and all of that, but it is important that we start to bring different genres to our screens, and also expand our industry in that way. I think it is important. It's great that people have movies which have songs and dances and all that, but there are other kind of storytelling that I think we should also address, which deals with other ways of expressing ourselves. So I think the movie does it. It does have a heroine in it, and it does have that whole storyline is there, but I think it's not the focus of the film.
Right, and Farhan, so we've seen that OTT has become a very important platform for projecting your own story plot lines, and people are watching it. So are we hoping that your films will also be broadcasted on these OTT platforms, for example, martial artists, or I don't know about The Witness.
I think it's already on IMDb.
Right, I don't know about The Witness, but are we struggling in that particular direction?
Well, I mean, that's our hope. That I think the largest audience that we can reach is probably through OTTs, and that is the new way to reach people. And I think eventually that's our hope, that Witness and Martial Artists will end up on an OTT, because these conversations, we need to take them to people's homes, if not to their theaters, and hopefully, I think both of them will end up
Right. And are we also aiming for the
on some platform.
right? Are we also aiming for the international releases?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said, Martial Artist right now has a release in Pakistan on Eid, and is doing really well, mashallah. And on April 4th, it releases in North America, Canada, and US, and South America, and then in UK and some parts of Europe. So yeah, they will have large releases, and hopefully people will enjoy them.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we want. So one last thing, and before we wrap up this segment, first of all, our entire team is really glad that whenever we have reached out to you, you've taken out time. Alhamdulillah, you're one of the most popular celebrities all over the globe as well. So one last thing with the context of OTTs. Now, because OTTs have actually kind of transformed our visual experience, so what we see is that we would want to kind of, link on to Netflix or Prime or IMDb or any other platform. But unfortunately, we have not been able to produce a platform of our own where we do have global content to share with global audiences. How do you think that our direction needs to be directed in a way where we could actually cater to global audiences?
I think you bring up a very, very, very important point. I think we do need to have platforms where we can bring content which the world can actually see. That's how we break down, which you earlier said, the stereotypes. I think that responsibility falls completely on our shoulders. Sometimes we always say that, Hollywood is not showing us in this light or that light. To be very honest, it's not their responsibility, it's ours. And we should be bringing, because nobody knows our stories better than we do. So it is imperative that we have outlets and we have content that does that. So hopefully, I mean, we are myself and a group of us. We're also starting our own company, which hopefully will actually cater to these kind of storylines and these kind of platforms.
Farhan, we've seen in Hollywood, so post 9/11, I mean, generally the discussion that dominated regarding the Pakistan, the global discourses was related to the terrorism or extremism or extreme, fragmentation in the society or polarization. And these are the stereotypes about the Pakistan. But since now, United States have moved away from that discourses. So do you feel that, post 9/11 discourse or generally about that, there are new stories coming up and Hollywood is, giving more representation to the South Asia, more, I would say, clear representation, which are not very stereotype representation. And how do you feel that transition? I'm pretty sure that you might have your own challenges in Hollywood and working with our own industry. How do you find the environments of the two different industries?
Of course, the challenges are always there, and each industry will have its own challenge. Particularly after 9/11, I think there has been an evolution of thought. I think starting with a very, very stereotypical idea because of the event that took place, which was so shocking. And I think sometimes out of ashes rises a phoenix. What it has done is that it has also made the world to look at us, our lives, our ways of thinking, and actually really explore them. So that is happening, and that's a really good sign. On the other hand, on a global level, the other thing that is happening is that the audiences have become more global now because of OTTs and other ways of getting your message and your stories out, that industries are realizing that they have a global audience and they have to cater to that global audience. So those storylines are also becoming very important from a business perspective for them, because if they have those storylines, they have a better and a larger audience share to offer these stories to. So it's hand in hand. Some of it has come out of the events in our history, and some of it is coming out of a business necessity. And both of them are actually doing a good thing, which is bringing stories and storylines which actually depict and portray who we really are.
Exactly. And in addition to this, obviously, last time when we were in conversation, you did share with us, how you have your own production house over here set up in Pakistan and that you are producing a lot of content. Now, imagine how important as an actor, as somebody who's a producer, director, how important do you think it is for us to kind of make sure that within the art form of storytelling, that there's a counter narrative present?
Absolutely, because I mean, the problem that we have faced is that we have lived for too long by the definitions that others have given us. And I think it is high time that we create our own definition and let others judge us by that definition rather than us trying to always defend a point of view. I think we need to, not aggressively, but we have to be very vigilant in showing our point of view and let others judge us by that. So I think it's a very important time in our lives, and especially with media, that's the tool that we can use to change people's minds.
Right, and thank you so much, Farhan, for being on our show, for speaking so passionately about yourself, about your journey in the Hollywood, and about your films. Best of luck to the both of the films, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to do wonderfully well because the visuals are stunning, storytelling seems very, very stunning, and I'm a huge cinema goer, so inshallah ta'ala, I am going to the cinema to watch the film. I don't know about the Shahzad, but I definitely enjoy the cinema experience because I just feel that it is somehow vanishing because of the influence of the OTT
I think I'm going to
platforms.
take advantage of the OTT platforms available as well and watch it at the comfort of my room and my bed.
Come on, Shahzad, come on.
It's a promise. I'm going to go to the
There's
cinema for
a
the
beautiful
martial artist.
ritual. It's a beautiful ritual of going to the cinema. We can always watch it at home, and then you can come home and watch it at home in your bed too. You can watch it twice. Why not?
Farhan bhai. It's a promise, Farhan bhai. I'm going to go with my entire family and watch the martial artist and then behave like a martial artist as well. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And
Wonderful.
with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've always spoken, how in South Asia, we're so popularly known by the smell of the masalas that we eat, so wherever we may go in the rest of the world, they'll be like, okay, it smells like as if you're from South Asia. But now imagine that spice bag is a word which will be in dictionary. An Irish culinary delicacy known as the spice bag has been added to the Oxford English Dictionary. According to an Oxford University Press spokeswoman, the phrase, which is less than 20 years old, is credited to the Chinese takeaway restaurant in Dublin called Sunflower, which coined it in 2006, and the first social media post mentioning it is from 2012. Oxford Dictionary describes a spice bag as a takeaway meal typically consisting of chips, shredded deep fried chicken, fried onions, red and green peppers, chili peppers, jalapeno peppers, tossed together in a bag with various spices and often served with curry sauce for dipping. Ye khayega kaun yaar?
Right, and I think Pakistanis are making quite their presence felt, and especially in the UK, because you can feel a lot of brown people walking and cohabitating the public spaces there. So Pakistani truck is on the British road, delighting the locals. The rear side of Pakistani truck plying on the street in the UK left many onlookers thrilled. The truck seen moving along the streets in the Buckinghamshire wire along the driveway, honking to draw the attention of spectators towards it. Recently, the emerging Pakistani campaign was introduced in London, which including London's iconic red buses carrying brand Pakistan. The move was aimed at introducing Britons and international tourists to Pakistan's beautiful culture and heritage. And I've seen that, truck art is extremely, extremely popular.
Yeah.
And after the truck art, the truck itself is there. And I'm pretty sure that it will be amused by the, the very horn,
Yeah,
proper
tini baba, tini baba,
yeah.
tini baba.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it
I
has
think
a sound.
it's an entire culture, so it's more like, how truck drivers actually know that this signal is to kind of give me some space for taking over, or, look after, you've got too much load on it, so there's 6, 7 pressure horns. Probably do not use them in UK, you might get fined for that.
Yeah, I think they become quite disciplined in that. But now we will move on to another interesting query topic, which is also related to the OTT platforms. And we are going to develop a conversation that are OTT platforms encouraging inclusive storytelling. So in order to unfold this conversation, we are very glad that we have been joined by one of my seniors that I work with there, that she's also the alumni of the NAS, and she's an amazing actress, and she's a documentary maker. She has so many credits to her CV, I would like to say, and she happens to be Miss Sundus. Farhan, Assalamu alaikum Sundus, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Alaikum salam, Hajra. Thank you so much for such a lovely intro.
Right. So Sundus, let's unfold this conversations. Do you believe that with the introduction of the social media and all of these OTT platforms, they're encouraging a very inclusive storytelling and the representation is getting better of minority groups probably?
I think Faran Tahir has already given a very, he's like summed it up really nicely, because when we look at OTT platforms, or like when we consider content on traditional media and we compare it with OTT platforms, of course it does have a bit, we do need more of it, but it does have inclusive storytelling in it. Reason being, because it, of course, when we look at Disney or we look at Amazon, we look at Netflix, it gives you a lot of diverse content from multiple backgrounds, from multiple ethnicities, from multiple religions. And I think living in a community where we live with people from who hold multiple opinions, who are from multiple religions, it's very important to equally have them heard and to equally have them seen on the media as well.
But I think, so this is where I would want to dissect the entire premise of the conversation, which is that if you see Hulu, like you mentioned, if you see Disney or other OTT platforms, so if they are representing Muslim communities, so they are representing them in a very liberal light, right? So you will see that Muslims are breaking their fast, and after that they're drinking, right? Drinking is not our culture at all. It is prohibited in Islam, right? So do you feel that that is inclusive storytelling, that is the real representation of who we are as a Muslims?
I think then again, when we look at stereotypes, a lot of the cinema, which is the foreign cinema, has sort of visualized and showed the Muslim community in a very different perspective, under a very different light. So when it comes to OTT, it's basically on us on how we can reframe the entire
and I would want to kind of
stereotype.
explore it further more as well. So let's imagine that, because you've said that, how stereotypes might do it as well. If with the art of storytelling, we kind of, are showing people who are not what Muslims are supposed to do. We do have Muslims who unfortunately do things which they're not supposed to do as well. Do you think that there needs to be more acceptability as a Muslim audience? Or do you think that people really need to kind of absorb it as well and then kind of come back with whatever they can?
Yeah, I think that what you've said is right, because when content making is in our own hands, and then we when we have an OTT platform where we have the liberty to make what we want and we have the liberty to put out instantly what we make, I think we always have a choice on how to break a specific stereotype on how a Muslim is shown, or how a specific person from any other religion is
right. And I think it also depends upon how Hollywood wants people to perceive that particular situation or these dominant storytelling platform, because at the end of the day they're also aligned with one particular ideology, right?
Yeah,
and the stories that are coming that reflects that.
And I would want to kind of contribute over here. Now imagine that, whenever you're actually going to see a film from Hollywood, what we'll see is that, we'll see that how, America is always dominant. For example, the Olympus has fallen. So they...
Americans are coming to save the world.
And they're more invested towards, how Russia is actually out there causing all the trouble and whatnot. So, so no matter what happens, Hollywood is actually going to show, United States of America as big as they can. But I think, Aja, I've got a question for you. And the question is, now with all of these OTT platforms, our exposure is actually kind of opened up, many folds, because imagine that we have series at the click of our button from Russia, from Germany, from Korea, from Turkey and whatnot. And, so we are consuming that content, and it's actually kind of, widening our horizon. Why do you think that we are still unable to kind of capitalize on that?
Yani, I think I'm not the best person to answer that, and this question is more apt for the storytellers or the filmmakers, but I think it's high time that we also lobby for our representation in the Netflix, because you see there's Netflix Turkey, there's Netflix India, there's there are local arms on the Netflix, and there should be a Netflix Pakistan, because I do believe that we have some amazing content writers here, storytellers here, who can present Pakistan in a very nice, and I know we need to have our own share of the representation in the Netflix.
And but then again, I think talking about our own storylines, we do have a lot of content put out on the social media as well, like series like Entrepreneurial, where they have different women, individual women with their own ideologies, where celebrating their own unique identities. It talks about women empowerment. You can look at tamasha where you could just live stream women cricket.
Right.
So I think it's very important for all the content creators who are making such content to genuinely make an effort to include personal narratives, to include personal experiences of people, and not just thin out on the effort of commercialization.
True. And thank you so much for wrapping it up so beautifully well as well. Thank you so much, Sundus, for taking out time, for being with us. And let me tell you, you resemble Mohtarma Fatma Jinnah quite a lot. Thank you so much for being with us.
And best of luck for that web series too. So now we will move on to another interesting news, that is that critically endangered species may come back in its original habitat. An endangered fish has been reintroduced to Mayo River in American state of North Carolina. A 6-inch fish called found only in the parts of the Virginia and North Carolina was listed as a federally endangered in 1989 after it faced habitat destruction. However, thanks to the efforts of the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission and North Carolina Division of Parks and Recreation, a juvenile fish has been reconstructed and again came out from that habitat. Wow.
I mean, look at the fish. The fish looks so interesting as well. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, massive long-lived trees discovered in Tanzanian forest are a new species.
Right.
A team of botanists has discovered a new species of trees growing in the mountainous rainforest of Tanzania. The team stumbled upon the tree while hiking in the Uluti village and the Bomala Zinga forest reserves. In addition to its massive girth, the tree grows a little taller than others around it in the rainforest. The team members collected wood samples from a fallen tree for testing, and the results showed that some of the newly discovered trees could be up to 3,000 years old.
Wow. Oh, wow. So, Shahzad, I think I would want to have a conversation with you because I do feel that, conversations that are centered around the business ideas, they really excite you, right? And you have a background, academic background in this field particularly, right? So whenever we talk about the entrepreneurship, right, nowadays a lot of young people, millennials, I think the millennials are not any young anymore, but generally the Gen Z or this newer generation, they're doing the side hustles, right? There's a concept of side hustling, which means that apart from their main job, they do have some side businesses to cater to it, right? So in Pakistan, how do you feel that that idea is successful? Because we've seen that side hustles is a very common theme within the Western countries, but I do feel that there is also saturation going on there.
Exactly.
But in Pakistan, these things are still relatively newer, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel the ecosystem is there in terms of side hustling?
So Hajra, I do believe that, I think people really need to understand it. Now imagine that side hustle over here for Pakistan is something which is going to be there 24/7 and 365 days of the year. And the reason being is that the jobs that we have over here within the job market are not paying you as much as the lifestyle that you would want to live. So what you will do is, and I do believe that it's a great thing, because then you will initially have your own startup. May it be anything, may it be selling properties, selling cars, may it be, making a product, and we are good that now we are actually at the front of making goods as well. So because what really happens in this connotation is that, that you really would want, and once you establish that startup or whatever you were doing, so that what you do is that you would leave the job and then be there full time. So it's more of a transition where from a job's perspective, you were going to move on to be an entrepreneur. So people just wanted to be safe, because one hand in the bush is better than two in bushes, right? So I think that's the role.
Right. And I think we've seen a lot of stories where, a lot of entrepreneurships have failed in their ventures. And I think that is also a bit of scary thing in terms of the job, because it provides you more safety.
They come back to the job then.
Yeah, because job provides you a safety, right? In terms of having a stable income.
But kills your dreams.
Yeah, but you have to have the stable income, right? So in order to unfold the conversation on the entrepreneurship and navigating the stages of entrepreneurial growth, we're very glad that we have been joined by Rabia Asad. Assalamu alaikum, Rabia, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum assalam.
And alongside her, we're very lucky that we've been joined by Ms. Rumana Waqar. So Rumana Waqar, please let us know about Mini Toes. What is it, and how did you conceive this idea?
Okay, so Mini Toes is basically a small child-centered activity center that caters a lot on life skills, developing life skills, and a lot of other creative activities for children. We target the ages from 5 to 12 mostly. Okay. Our most programs are towards skill development. It's basically swimming coaching lessons. We provide horse riding training. We do a lot of mommy and me sessions for the mothers who are particularly working. We target them, and we want them to have a social interaction, one with their child and in a particular setting. Other than that, we focus a lot on developing small skill-based programs which are mostly targeted towards summers, because the children are free and they are free from school and they can give time to us, and they're off from academics basically, but all of these programs are designed for them to have a lot of layer activities and creativity as well.
I think this is a fantastic idea, because there's a concept of working women, which is gaining traction, a lot of traction within urban centers, and obviously with that they need some help with the child, right? So what are how did you, number one, conceive this idea, and number two, how popular is this idea, especially within the working women?
It is mostly popular among the toddlers, right? Because, and especially when you talk about summers, me being a parent, you asked how did you conceive the idea. Me being a parent, keeping the kids at home for a longer period of time, especially in the summer break when it's prolonged to 3 months, it's quite difficult. Giving them, for how long can you, you'll take them to a park, then you would give them a little bit of screen time, and these days the screens are just focused, the kids are more focused with the screen. They leave their iPads, then they watch the TV and all that. So that is where it came up, that we should engage children in some kind of activities. One, as you said, which are skill based, and secondly, they are recreational, and kids enjoy those activities.
And that's what I would want to kind of explore. And I think that the prime reason for such initiatives to work is because the schools do not have to offer such services, unfortunately, over here. And what I would want to kind of explore is that for example, if the children are going for swimming, they're going for horseback riding, I mean, that actually is quite a lot of expenditure on the infrastructure itself, having stables built and whatnot. So what I think as of now, that what you've done is that you have partnered with some swimming pools and some horseback riding clubs, and then you take classes over there. Is that, because I think that's brilliant if you've done that.
Being females, then secondly having a small scale structure, you can't invest in such big the platforms, right? So we collaborate with different institutes. We've collaborated with the Pakistan Navy, Safa Gold Mall, and many others in Islamabad to give us that platform. And then we share their clientele as well, which gives us an edge, and then our own clientele as well.
Exactly, and it's a brilliant idea, because imagine that if we are to kind of look about or talk about Uber or Amazon, what we do see is that that it's the middleman market that they have actually captured. So they basically are not investing in the product or the making of the product, but how the product actually reaches and how they store it as well. Likewise for Uber, it's not their cars, the infrastructure does not belong to them, but they're taking full advantage of it. So it's a great idea, and certainly if we are to kind of explore further, let's speak about how are the memberships working, how do you look after the safety of the children, because that's one thing. You're taking them swimming and you're taking them horseback riding, and that's one thing that parents must be concerned about. Let's
yes, talking about the safety perspective, it is very important. For example, a child who's 4 or 5 years old, and you need to have certain safety safeguards that we incorporate, and we communicate that to the parents. One, number two, there are lifeguards being provided by, like Rabia said, that all of these commercial organizations have a proper infrastructure. The major and basic idea of collaborating with them, number one, is because they have almost all of the expertise. If you talk about swimming pools, they need to have proper hygienic, they need to be clean.
Because you said Safa Gold Mall, so I do believe that you're using their swimming pool, and you said Pakistan Navy, you're using their stables and horses, right?
Yes,
please go ahead.
True. So talking about the safety measures, definitely in collaboration with these organizations, we have ample amount of human resource. One, number two, then expertise in terms of trainers and in terms of lifeguards, if we're talking about swimming particularly. And other than that, regarding horse riding, the same goes.
Yes.
But I think we also need to discuss about how, for example, are you catering to neuro, diverse population of the kids, for example, kids who have autism or kids who have dyslexia, because nowadays, like you mentioned, that these conditions are on the rise in the children because of the excessive use of the screen, right? Or you're just catering to neuro, typical population of the kids?
At the moment, we're just catering
it's
to...
basically the normal children, but last year when we had this summer camp, we had one child, and it was a great experience. And then when you're talking about the safety precautions, I would like to add that we ourselves one, we are ourselves
Over there.
Present here.
present over there, and secondly, better in swimming
Yeah,
and horse riding. We are trained,
Okay.
and that is why we take up these skills,
Opportunities.
so that we know the skill as well.
I think it's great, but you know,
We
for
know the
people,
skill as well.
for people who are out there, I've gone through this multiple times as well. But if God forbid, unfortunately, if somebody's going down in the swimming pool, it really takes a very experienced swimmer to kind of get them out as well. Very quickly, one last thing: it's a great business idea that you've come up with, and I would want people to take inspiration from it because it's almost like zero investment. And with that, you're getting quite a lot of return, alhamdulillah, mashallah say. And I would want people to kind of learn about mini tours as well. And such similar ideas can be replicated in a lot of cities of Pakistan where parents actually, I've been struggling to get my Samba Club membership for a longer period of time. Haven't found the right person to call the secretary Samba Club. So I think, probably for the time being, we really need to look forward to mini tours. But thank you so much,
Thank you so much for
sisters, for
coming.
coming us.
Thank you
Wonderful
so
to
much.
have you over
Thank
here.
you so much.
Thank
And
you
until
so
next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning.
Good morning.